pronounce that you may resume again. We now have our final team. Well, it's a second chance. Yeah? That's one thing good about second chance concept here, man. Yeah. So this is a second chance that finance has given us. So I want all of us to make welcome the PEM Secretary and his team, beautiful team, but like him little bit gender balance. So next time you balance him good now, gender representation below here. Well, nonetheless, let's get straight to what we have asked you to come and give us a second chance in this inquiry proceedings here. So let me begin no more and then just outline him no more generally, what are the issues that, we would want to go through with you, and then the members of the committee will buy out asking you. Firstly, it's just basically looking into your fiscal strategy document here, which is finally reflected in the way that the budget has been presented here. So that includes fiscal revenue, and possibly some questions will have to be asked about the fiscal expenditure, because we have also recommended some additional increases here. And as you will appreciate, Mr. Secretary, that in the way that you may prepare in budget along this country, Parliament basically is involved in the formulation of budget too. Because we are now inquiring into it, and then before that, by Golongo Parliament or same. Yeah? So we are in that process. We are part of the formulation of the budget. So I hope that you will give us that little bit of a window here no more, so that we can get our report back to you, and perhaps if you think there is value in some of the recommendations that we make, you could ask Cabinet, yeah, make the appropriate amendments and come back, because we think that we will still have that opportunity, yeah, to do that next week. And if you think that a week will make sense to you and value to you in making those changes, because we are proposing some amendments like that. Yeah, so we will try to get our reports done by over the weekend, and then that can be moved to you, very swiftly. We can take some actions next week. Maybe just to summarize some of those recommendations, yeah, and justifications behind those recommendations. But we will structure that submission back to you as early as next week, like that, because we see a lot of well in doing that. For instance, the Electoral Commission, for instance, it's because of the baseline restriction, it has come down. But I think any reasonable thinking, would see that the only time available for us, to be able to work on some effective, voter registration will be next year. If you may say that we will do it in 2027, yeah, 2027, you never know what will happen. There's a lot of things that might happen, yeah. Fiscally, maybe, we will be faced with a lot of difficulty. So, committee yesterday noted that there's a sharp reduction, yeah. Get registered. So if I leave him go now, that's just an example. That's just an example. But let us structure our conversation and discussion properly. So we will start off with asking some questions on the fiscal framework that you have presented. I think we've got some responses that have come out, and then we asked our team over here to give you something, ahead of time, and that has been presented to us. So perhaps you could put your finger along over the questions and Wehemi put to you. Yeah? Firstly, credibility blow the revenue, and then our members will ask you where some doubts may come up. So members, you could refer to page, what more, yeah? Which page, yeah? That has the domestic revenue projection page of the fiscal document, strategy Bluyumi. Domestic revenue estimate outlook, yeah? Page 25, yeah, paragraph 8.5. Paragraph 8.5, yeah? The details of all the revenue, both tax and non-tax. Yes, both tax and non-tax. It's there. So the details of that now I'm there. And then you could look at the corresponding response that came from finance, I think in page, my apology that I just read this through right now too, yeah? So in page 6 onwards, I think, page 6 onwards, the responses are there. Okay, responses are in page 6 onwards. But then members might want to ask questions too in relation to some of the detailed conversations that we've had with, through our inquiry with other selected sectors here: forestry, mining, fisheries, tourism, a little bit, and so forth. So others are, well, and the commissioner is here, and both commissioner and the controller are here as well. So members, please get engaged. This session is ours to really zoom down to making sure assumptions and figures that have been featured can be relied upon, and then that will form an informed report for members to look into. So that's on revenue. I'll leave that to others to start asking questions on that. On budget support, term that has been used by the major now of the budget support, I think they're the only one featured in there on the budget support, Australia. Is that they have two. One is off system and the other is on system. So this is the on system reporting that they have put into the appropriation. But we had a very, very fruitful discussion with them this morning, and Secretary, they will approach you yourself and planning as to explore ways as to how we can get the off system into the appropriation. So they have opened up now. So that's a good opening, PS. We had a good discussion with them this morning. And it's the first time that we bring in a major development partner in to the inquiry. I mean, the select committee. Questions were asked on the PALM scheme, which, most parliament belong to Pacific region. They've never had that opportunity, and we have it today. Thank you to the honourable leader for raising that question on the PALM. So it's now on the spotlight now, yeah, that Australia has engaged with Solomon Island Select Committee to discuss this matter on the PALM, yeah. And some announcement of cost of remittance, for instance, that came in using our own private sector provider, low transfer of money transfer, which is a lot cheaper than their own or the global money transfer scheme of Western Union. Western Union, Blahuya. It's mostly, I think, from Europe too, yeah, I think. Yeah. Is it part of the credit card or MasterCard? I think it's their own, yeah? We are not sure. But for our own labor, scheme participants law there, now it's formally recognized and announced too here that, the MCLN that has got the support of DFAD, and also what is this UN body? UNACD or what's it's something like industrial development UN body. I think they've been helping MCLN to help support build up the platform and extending it to Australian jurisdiction to have the transfers, formally recognized by law. Yeah, they can transfer MCLN directly Golo Village now, MOSM. Yeah? I think by very shortly, data transfer, I think by go credit here, by go inside 2 years. So just imagine a mother or father or brother or sister right at the village can also use MCLN for top up 2 years. So only Valnomas I top up or 2, but top up 2 years. So that's on that. So let's have a look at that size. And the non-appropriation, where I think they are going to talk to you about, and also they will be our main sort of go in between with other donor partners, New Zealand and other IFIs, the World Bank, ADB, and so forth, to improve. The JICA was also here this morning, so I think JICA have their own arrangements on the way that they implement their program, but they are saying to us that you start factoring in maintenance and repair and maintenance below at hospital, recurrent operation of the hospitals. 2 so far, one in Gizo, the other one in Auki, Kilofi. And this is going to be a very magnificent building. And let's turn these 2 hospitals here into a national referral too. Possible referral hospitals. That's something I think we need to look into. In future, instead of we are only using one referral hospital here, let's use Kilufi and Gizo as a referral too, like that. That would be good for our people. But even those upgrading is not reflected in the budget as well too. Like that. So let's come to the size of the deficit. Deficit is one thing, and I think during the course of the question and answers that we are going to do right now, members are all prepared to ask you questions on that. Then we will see the true size of the deficit here. And if it is going to be featured in the bill, you have done that. So what we are asking also is, can you come up with a timetable of when that gap here will be filled, and which particular donor we are going to go for? So, I mean, that's the whole principle behind holding, government accountable and being transparent about, all these things that are so critical to the resources that is needed for delivering services to the people. So we are asking you that Schedule 2 should be expanded, to show some timetable, even also the recurrent, the fiscal strategy. You did that very well last year. I don't have that booklet here, but last year's one, you got that in there. But this year, I am no more. But we are asking you that you further elaborate law Schedule 2, so that we can have some kind of even if it is not the exact date, but some kind of indication of which part of the year, first quarter or second quarter, or counting on the months maybe, or whatever. So that would be good for us, and I think it will be good for Parliament too, to have confidential budget. So that's on that. The other issue I think you picked up from the questionnaires that came out was a new concept on tax expenditures here. And this will be of great interest to Valaman lawyer, to Valaman Sidan lawyer. When we grant exemptions, they become an expenditure from government to those recipients. To the recipients. Some will have to show cause that they have recovered well, and then they will have to start repaying, given the natures of those committee concepts like tax exemptions, tax breaks, holiday, just giving them a holiday for a period. That doesn't mean that they escape tax, paying tax here. Just a holiday no more. Or to give them a period to rev up now their operation towards profitability, like that, Or giving them a break would mean basically delaying paying of tax. But in the meantime, they enjoy that money until such time they build up a better capacity, they started repaying back emotion. So for the whole of government resources that we are giving out, either grants level or what is going up to tourism and everyone, if a fight over tourism grant, yeah, and I think AG is going to tell us the truth behind that, yeah. We have actually asked Ministry of PH of Tourism to give us the list for 2024 and 2025 recipients of the tourism grant, like that. So recipients of grants are no different from those who are granted tax exemptions. But we have to treat them properly as expenditure, like that. We have to treat them properly as expenditure. And over time, we have to assess what's the impact on the economy, whether it is weakening our own ability to be able to encourage them to increase in revenue in future or no more, yeah. And I made an example of before when we had no money to build a prison building here along Orobe. We had to give an exemption to an entity for long, I think VB, yeah? VB, importing VB, that time Solbrew factory wasn't established here. So we gave an exemption. How many, me forget them now, I think you guys go back to the whole appropriation act here, but it was in the schedule. Yeah, we declared that tax expenditure in the schedule of the bill, yeah, to legalize him now, that tax expenditure. And then later on you will assess it, whether or not the building can go up or no more. Luckily they were able to build the building, yeah, so yeah, so that's tax expenditure. So they will ask you those questions. So let's start off with those first time, yeah. Look at the budget credibility, and then so you not talk it. I'm giving others here for asking question. So members, please ask question to Secretary, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just I suppose maybe like start along our revenue assumptions. So we have you're projecting quite a significant budget deficit. If the assumptions hold. If the assumptions don't hold, silo revenue, then of course we begin to question the size of that deficit and your ability to finance it. So on the one hand, financing below that file deficit, and we need to be clear, a little bit clearer upfront, including both, the look at French Blumi, help him Yumi, but also your own borrowing plans. So we can see in the bill, the schedule to the bill itself, amounts for Parliament approval for borrowing not there, but the actual plan would be useful, I think, in our reporting to the House for looking what month you all expect to raise how much. And given the level of expenditure overall, pro rata, we know that you will have cash available to be able to dispense or disburse expenditures where compliant and so forth. So that's on one hand. So your borrowing plans are going to be important so that the committee gets a handle on your ability to facilitate ministries executing from the word go. So that's on the expenditure side. So time thinking around him, credibility, belong revenue assumptions here. The biggest one, of course, is mining. So we had the Ministry of Mines come and Goldridge in particular, me feature largely low this fella assumption below for low mining that by me reaching peak or full production long 2026. So we asked about when Olcatelo Mines, Director of Mines, me expecting this to be the case for Goldridge in particular, and she said maybe probably towards the end of the year 2026 here. So there already handed in feasibility study, but there are some other issues where Olketa like him for company hemi clarify him and inspectors for mines division for go look him. And so him say by process here will take a number of months. By the time Mogata resolve him, it will be towards the end of the year. And so him no expect him that the increase in production him relate specifically to this expansion program Goldridge, but him no expect him that expansion to begin unless Olketa have covered all their technical and governance requirements. So that casts some doubt alongside law revenue directly from Goldridge in particular, which is by far the largest mining asset that we have in the country. So it'll be useful to perhaps get a little bit isolate him more how much of this growth in the revenue comes specifically from Goldridge, and particularly from that anticipated expansion, since it is going to be somewhat delayed. And if it turns out to be that will be the case, then obviously the impact on the deficit. By deficit, wide go mona, yeah. And in which case, how do you mitigate? What steps could you take to mitigate that? So that to me is the biggest one along our side low revenue. So perhaps if we begin there, you outline income how you might tackle it. We'll come back to the borrowing plans, Blue a little bit later on. What we want to do is to get a much better grip on the credibility of the figures, and then to get some sense of Treasury not being forced into rationing cash, and that becomes again the tail that wags the dog. So execution is determined not by ministry capacity to implement, but because of the lack of cash. But let's come to that Goldridge matter first time. Thank you, PS.
Thank you, Honourable Member, and also colleague members who are here this morning. So, in terms of the of our fiscal forecast, especially on revenue, I think, as you're right, there's been increase in terms of revenue from our two major revenue within the ministry, like inland revenue and, of course, customs. As I've said when we met last week, in terms of the basis on our forecast, both on historical and also both on the expected growth on the economy. So, like for customs, member, we have seen some growth since year 2000 in terms of revenue growth. There are two contributing factor on that growth. Despite we have also noted the reduction on export duty on logs, but we have seen growth in terms of excess duty since 2001, and also growth in terms of export duty on non-log areas that include mining. It's one of the major contributor to that increase on export duty on non-logging areas. So we have seen the steady growth in terms of from revenue from customs, and as you can see in 2026, we have forecasted probably much lesser than we forecasted this year. One of the reason behind that one is especially the downward trend on the on the logs. But excise and of course mining, as you said, is one of the contributing factor. This is based on the numbers that we receive in terms of the volume of especially from Gold Ridge, and of course a little bit lesser on other mining resources like nickel and bauxite. So that's the main assumption.
So on the Gold Ridge one, are you able to isolate how much of that growth comes from Gold Ridge and comes from not existing operation, which will continue, but the expansion component whereby we delayed next year? How much of that increase comes from that projection?
Yes, we have the numbers in different mining companies, and also the numbers in terms of the different products or different out of Gold Ridge, the concentrate, and of course the gold ore. So that numbers has been. We have those numbers available.
Current operations. They talk about the
current operation and then forecast for next year. Yeah. So we have the current operation.
Can you give it to us, or you have it on a report somewhere? Gold Ridge specific.
Yeah. We can send the information to you. I think it's in my email.
The other aspect of that is with the windfall of gold price. How was any calculation done to factor any increase low revenue ME due specifically to windfall?
The forecast for next year in terms of the price, we will rely mainly on how the movement of the price, but this is mainly on the rates of the price that is currently move around 3,000 to 4,000, especially on gold. Yeah? So that's the price that we heavily rely on.
What now agreement law government waiting company with regards to, I suppose a floor price, and beyond which there should be a much more equitable sharing of that windfall. Do we have such an agreement? I note when I visited Gold Ridge that they were waiting on the government on this particular matter. So you will finalize now new agreement with the company, or?
According to update me received, I think the review of the mining agreement is still to be finalized.
What now hold up?
I think it's with the Ministry of Mines, where I'm trying for coordinating with the Gold Ridge and of course other stakeholders, including Ministry of Finance. So probably they might try to look at how the Amendment Law Act might be, to see what exactly how the act will be framed, and then how number and capture into the new mining agreement. So probably that's the process that I would like for. Look at the moment.
But in the meantime, production go ahead and windfall time price high, good for you, a little bit taking better returns now, but we're dragging our feet on it. It's probably a matter where some urgency needs to, even if it's only on the windfall profits due to price, maybe it's a matter that should be handled if the broader mining issues are going to drag it out. Maybe the pricing issue need to be handled separately and can be incorporated later into once agreement is reached on all the other fronts. It just seems that is going to be critical to meeting some of these projections, especially low deficit blue, and to make up for this delayed expansion plan. If we get start low final quarter of next year, which was what it was sounding like, low expansion here, we won't expect the benefits of that until 2027, very likely. because you're talking about underground mining. There'll be a lot more engineering work that will go into it before we see the benefits. That's why individualized data would be useful to see how much of your assumptions are based on that particular operation.
Yeah, so remember, in terms of the tax and of course duty, for example, well, we say tax first time, as we highlighted or we informed the committee last time, is all the tax related privilege have expired now. So now all the relevant, all the required tax obligations have been applied this time. So whatever status or stage or movement law operations, that's where majority, well, not majority, but the big one of the contributor to our focus on inland revenue, for example, next year is due to the anticipated increased law tax getting from the mining company. So I think in terms of the received, the benefit from the the price will increase. We hopefully, and we are working towards ensure that that benefit him translate go tax obligations. We are supposed to be received and we are also reviewing the export duty as well. So hopefully, well, we are moving towards come into a new mining memorandum of understanding, especially on tax plus others, including export duty too. We will be signing with the company. So I think in terms of what I'm saying, that from the ministry point of view, we will enforce whatever necessary all legal tax obligations. Yeah, I think Commissioner made.
So this is going to be one of the amendments we are going to recommend to you. By almost go well cabinet more, but we see it's going to be really critical and of strategic importance to ensuring an increased revenue flow from mining, that this fella Geochem Lab is fully financed. The current financing here, the 30 million that was appropriated halfway this year or supplementary, have held up in procurement for equipment. Now that one, CTB has not been able to meet. You must call him CTB tomorrow. They've got contracts and also for suppliers of equipment. So one of our findings is we need to get that equipment in, we need to put that building up, so we know what tonnage is going out of what, associated minerals and the rest of it, so we're not held ransom to the information that's only supplied by Kolkata companies. Means, when they're paying the duties and taxes and so forth, you have visibility. You're not held ransom to only what Kolkata provide them. But the provisions here for that very important activity, for next year, me forget now, I think 4.2 million or something or so. So if CTB no meet this year and procurement process drag him out, then you'd have to wait more halfway next year for supplementary more, for reappropriate him more. It just will drag it out, and by him undermining more with the good assumptions you make him for revenue flows will come from this fella sector. So that is going to lead to one of our recommendations for amendment, to put some higher level of investment into that. The ministry seems to have confidence that the capacity to implement that project, to get it up and running. So I'm flagging it with you for you to around him.
Thank you, Chair. That's noted, but we just like for corrective information. CTB, we will meet Tuesday, we will meet yesterday. So I think that information that we will not able to meet them now true. Me not sure whether that Geochem paper companies, but me know that hasn't been come to agenda of this CTB. We will meet again next week. So CTB is continue to meet.
Good.
I think disappointment below me follow finance now, law mines now. Cabinet approve finish bill or just push come. I think that's the information. I mean, if it was a proposal button or something, I'm now one for something that me for ministry no happy lem. In terms of ensuring those important things must come good time before budget process and finalize or same. So just to assure the committee that CTB is functioning, we have met 2 times today, I mean this week, and we'll continue to meet up to December too.
Very good. Yeah, they said that Hemi or Sedem come and were waiting for CTB for deal with him. So perhaps you could be a little bit more proactive since it's central to the assumptions below revenue here. So you could be a little bit more proactive and check with him. Hey, committee raise him mataya, lo 30 million blood this year. Hey, 30 16.
25.
25. Yeah. When our documents say una hole make him CTB can deal with it, and they can then proceed. Make him Selene go out this year. We know at least on the equipment side, they're able to do this very important geotechnical work. Make him Yumi get some assurance on the tonnages and grades and.
Him no comment.
To us for the report.
Oh, they said that they have already submitted.
Yeah, so would it be possible to maybe documents are submitted finish, man?
Which documents?
From procurements, yeah.
Me ask him deputy chair of CTB, him say me fulano.
Oh, you want to receive anything? Oi. Also, misleading me. But anyway, be proactive.
Yeah, we'll check with them.
Yeah, because it is key to this fella assumption. So on the other side, because we were discussing this before, if this assumption is undermined for these reasons, we see the historical data you're providing that gives you confidence, then borrowing plans, blue financing of that deficit is going to be the other side law. Making sure ministries can execute. Do we have such a plan? You're thinking ahead? No good, you make a middle or end, you will kick around for us, Seleno.
Yeah, thank you, member, and also thank you, committee. Yes, we do have a financing plan in terms of filling the gap, both domestically as well as externally as well. So, in terms of the domestic plan, apart from the bond markets, we also engage with commercial bank on the guarantee arrangement that's provided by the World Bank guarantee to seek financing low the commercial bank, believe me.
Are you able to give us a copy of your borrowing plans for next year?
I will get the plan finalized and probably send it to the committee this afternoon or on Monday. Yeah. So that is one in terms of domestic guarantee financing arrangement through World Bank guarantee financing, and also continue bond market. We still know that there's still room for expansion of bond markets. We are planning to, or we will continue our engagement with domestic commercial banks. We're supposed to have some kind of informal engagement today, but Minister Hemi will arrive this afternoon, so we move it to next week. So this is some kind of talking with the banks, touring them, providing guidance, etc., to participate not only on the guarantee, but also on bonds, plus also other security markets like the Treasury bills. So those are three domestic operations that Mifala was planning for domestic financing, especially.
So, what's the magnitude of that funding through that particular credit arrangement, yeah, or debt financing that you got in, yeah.
So in
World Bank.
Yeah. So in terms of the World Bank, we can go as far as US 20 million in terms of guarantee. In terms of the Treasury bill, we have allowed space up to 500 million trading. Yeah, room up to 500 million space.
So on the Treasury bills, so the target will be 2 of the SOEs and possibly the National Provident Fund. Man, 500 million, but you empty pocket blood money. Is that something a reasonable thing to do? Or?
This is short-term Treasury bill operations.
Short-term?
Short-term, yeah.
That's quite expensive, yes. That's a very expensive exercise that you are banking on. But of course, you say that you have a guarantee with the World Bank on that. That will also cover the World Bank's guarantee, but I'm covering too, you know, the bond in the Treasury.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, the Treasury bill, no, covered under the guarantee. What minimum 500 million, we can trade up to that.
Yeah, I know. So you are replacing the advance proviso in the central bank, yeah? So you are getting into the central bank for some kind of an advance arrangement through that short-term Treasury bill, yeah? That's what you are doing now. So that just to fill the gap on the budget spending cover over a period of low fiscal year. Yeah.
I think...
Let's describe this properly so that everybody can understand him, even the public too, policymakers, decision makers. These legislatures, they wanted to know because, you know, that's a kind of assurance that you may always put him along or what. And then, because what you are saying is that, you know, you're going for this Treasury bill, a short-term one, yeah? Because you are relying on these 2 guys going to collect here, which is a delayed collection that throughout the year. But it's going to be a very expensive one. Perhaps you want to boost that spending cover below you here. So you pull these resources, possibly beginning of the year, so that you have money to spend over a period of 3 or 4 months, for instance. Yeah? But it comes back to how certain are we with the projection with Tuvalia Garem, and then how they're going to pull all our taxpayers, you know, to be able to repay at the same time. I mean, these are some of the continued challenges that you mean by Garem. But it's good that you say something about the guarantee from the World Bank, which is now going to be kind of a bankable document for you, everyone. And the fact that it is now a bankable document, I think the Public Accounts Committee is entitled to have a copy of whatever agreement that you have with the World Bank, so that it help support him too. To help support your argument that, you know, there's going to be an external borrowing window that is going to be available to us. Yeah. So if you can give that to us, you know, that will really support the way that, you know, we will express ourselves, you know, in the report that I think it's going to be a very comfortable year next year. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Mr. Chairman, in terms of the level of comfortability and, of course, the plan that SME mentioned him. Yeah? I think you mentioned this advance, different one more. So we also have a advance arrangement with central bank on a certain terms and certain time frame. That's what I mean. One of the
that is a purely commercial thing that you have with the central bank.
Purely.
What doesn't allow you anyway?
It has. We operated under the current
law.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not prescribing him now. What is the percentage to the revenue and all of that?
It's just purely some kind of cash flow
support,
cash flow management, where people when we really need the pressure.
And so pro rata for next year, Accountant General, how much do we need cash to make sure that you're able to disburse? Yeah.
Disburse it in month. spending month?
Yeah, per month. How much cash?
How many months spending would you think that we need to have by the start of next year?
Well, thank you. There's other factors as well that we need to factor in. One is our opening balances, as well as the slow pickup in spending at the beginning of the year. That allows us to build or increase our buffer for the subsequent months to after the first quarter when things really pick up.
But based on the projected level of expenditure,
Yeah.
6 billion, what's your pro rata?
That'll be around 500 million a year.
Month.
I mean, a month, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we're coming from.
Yeah.
So to assure Treasury to be able to continue to disperse unimpeded
Yeah.
compliance issues aside, borrowing plans blue fale, kick in as early as possible. Key. This is why we're asking what that plan is, but you've already finalized it, and when it's going to kick in, and how much you're looking for throughout perhaps the first, second quarter to facilitate him.
I go. Yeah, so we have learned from our experience over the last recent years, and of course this year, and that's the plan that we are working towards for next year in terms of to avoid delays and disruption and same. Yeah, so the one of the first awesome support or measure under that plan is what AG have been mentioning in terms of what is our expected carry forward revenue from this year to next year. That will kick a start, say, from first quarter. And also under the plan, this guarantee scheme should also kickstart too, yeah, first and second quarter next year. And I think I heard that from the Japanese government that budget support first quarter too. So those are plans that if those resources come, should give us the space implementations first, second, and third or same, yeah. With the revenue that perhaps start for flow come low second quarter, where revenue perhaps start for peak.
Just on the
Yeah, so that's the how Mifala look lohem. Apart from the budget support, domestically raised finances as well as externally raised finances, plus the forecast in terms of revenue, pro rata revenue from customs and inland revenue.
At some stage, it'd be great to start building up these cash buffers so we get back into a situation where he was in a few years ago now. We have our own revenue contributing structurally to cash reserves. But let me come to that guarantee by the World Bank. So I'm good. You may give him a little bit more appetite, commercial banks, to be able to engage with the government. Because when they came earlier this year before the committee, Chairman asked them, they were very blunt. Zero appetite right now to lend to the government. So on one side, him good. This will give them some appetite. But on the other, me a little bit worry, man. No good you may raises go low, then you may exhaust him that for guarantee, yeah. And then, of course, World Bank stand behind, so they get comfort from that. But they will see our attitude in, you may go with them, totally exhaust them, and then the quality of the spend that would come out of that, whether it might undermine him ability, blame me for repaying. This one, I suppose it's more a word of caution born out of our prior experience of him a little bit. My name. 20 million US, you say, yeah? The World Bank guarantee?
Is that SBD or USD? USD.
Yeah.
Okay. So how is that factored in terms of that agreement with the World Bank? Is it more of a structural or budget support number kind of a
It's included in the financing of the deficit.
or the deficit?
Yes.
So it's budget support number, budget support enabler number, something like that, isn't it?
Well, of course,
Seems to be a very risky something. Yes, I mean, everyone will harem about it, say, all right, but you know, when it goes directly into consumption, the way that government is always throw money into, in a way, you know, we are crowding out better structured guarantee scheme for private sector. The ideal situation would be for me to strike some kind of a guarantee like that for the private sector. Because, you know, over time, over the long term, medium term, but anyway, you may trust him now or the service provider. Man, we would build him with a road here because, you know, they have some carry forward commitment by next year. You are going to meet them. But make sure they don't go into service or the PSA. What my name is cross me. Make sure him don't go over the hardware. Enough blow the now. You help him more man long cocoa and copra and one. I think if you throw more money into agriculture and the seaweed, the fisheries, I think the one by Mbara sound good now. And also the tourism guys. I think quality structuring of the disbursement, yeah, and target group spending. This kind of money is something that you need to little bit put him up some guideline. I think tourism no more first time because you go to what money what run around to go for tourism. What a man what lo cabinet no about go take him. So you may give him go lo copra and cocoa. Yeah. There are a lot of copras not being collected lo makira where ranonga tu lo here lo marasa no matu ya mi harem interview blo wala man lo morning today MC cocoa transport na problem MC lo. So I think the point here is that it has to be better targeted, yeah, to quality sectors here, or sectors that, you know, we need to bring them up. But that still come back to the point that we were asking you, can we expand him now, schedule 2 here? So that we can have the timetable now, or some time schedule when those borrowing will trigger, yeah? First, second quarter, something like that, yeah? And then coming back to the question leader asked him, AG, for next year, you know, like, let's improve the spending cover availability below budget resources here. Yeah. For availability of just 1 or 2 months here is it's almost like, you know, we are tangke mbara empty street kasim lo bottom na ye so once we know that, you know, resources are going to come in somewhere like this one, you know, you go somewhere that Baba you shall help him now. At least about 4 or 5 months spending cover would be a very comfortable yeah. And then of course, you know, we have hardworking development here to fill the gap in between. But so, PS, do you think you can come up with a timetable? Is that something that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Just in terms of Mogata possible amendments, we will not finalize it, but one for now long this for a geotech facility and compliance below mines division.
Environment.
And then an environment. There's a big gap law environment. The other now law agriculture. Longo incentivize him cocoa and coconut in particular, rehabilitation, replanting scheme and also I mean need him incentives so we can increase the hectareage and hope that production him go up with him. They are the obvious low-hanging fruit both for economic activity, jobs and the flow on government revenue. The other, in terms of low social science, safety net, Emi Longo Sidelo Women and Youth. We had a discussion with them yesterday, of course, when Ogata come. You know, it was a me no stable afternoon, no, because after discussing it, me a little bit feel depressed a little bit. Me tell them say, "Hey, you go ahead, go no, me go no." Because you know the level of gender-based violence is still. And again, we are going only on anecdotal. I'm a little bit out of the data is a little bit out of date, and youth empowerment. But even if you say, okay, what are young people, give him soccer ball, rugby ball, tennis, and all some for the time being. But this scourge of domestic violence is really, really a significant problem. And I'll touch a little bit low economic impact lo him. I don't think we fully understand the economic impact of this one. If I encourage him for taking you for powerful man of finance here to really bring you up to speed and get you a little bit more sensitive to this issue, so you value what they're trying to do to address this. It is a really big problem, but it is obvious in terms of the budget projections. It's an afterthought. Emi putum government in a very bad light, as if government have no care, government have neglect him, no issue, have no anything. But in every home this issue is touching. Issue of gender violence, sexual violence, it's touching every home on the statistics. So that's another area if I'll ask him out for, give him a little bit more precise information, and we would ask you to be a little bit more sensitive. You know, if you may miss him one for airport this year, I think, but we invested in safety net on this issue. I think the people of Solomon Islands would accept it as a good trade-off. This is not an issue you may keep neglect him and postpone him all the way, also. It just seems schematic almost, but I think it's more by default. The neglect is by default than design. And so we put it to them to be a little bit more proactive. Ogata was defeated first time now. And the issue they kept well, all ministries raised, especially Ogata productive ones, is of course budget-based or baseline here. So no need for make them bids no more, because maybe low baseline, and also although they are planning new activities and also by no, because I'm baseline no more. We have to be better than this, I think, PS. Sure. If you impose him no more based on baseline, we know, in terms of managing cake here and how you div him up, that makes sense. But when you go down into particular sectors, may no longer hold water. So I think you're going to have to make some exceptions. Some fellow, maybe you hold them baseline, tight law European now. But in others, especially where you're expecting you by focus loan, like mines, say, for example, or safety net issue, like women, then I think you need to make exceptions and say, oh, no, you may need for addressing Mokate a little bit more seriously. Those are some of our findings and may result in recommendations to you for look longo amendments to the appropriations, which of course you'd have to then follow process blue for him. Yes, Chairman?
Sure. Yeah. And you were talking about the international conference.
Yes.
So that's where that recommendation takes. So can you?
Yes. So one fella, one of our recommendations, PS, is for next year. So perhaps you could find some funds to facilitate it. Plus, I'm sure donors would love to be part of him. Is to have a national dialogue or conversation or symposium or something on this issue of domestic gender-based violence. They are going to do some work to find out more data. So it's evidence-based, and it should be presented to this one. And it's not just you, me, or Yuval or government no more, but all leaders and stakeholders right across the country should be brought together to be confronted with the facts. It really is a very serious issue, this one, and it's deep into our society. It's in all of our families. You may think you're exempt. I thought I was exempt. It's in all of our families. We have to do something about this and respond meaningfully. And so I think coming together is very important. Make me find them some ways to move forward, which by not just government investing in it, but other stakeholders also playing their part right throughout our communities and islands. So that was one of the suggestions that will be in our recommendation also, PS, for you thinking around him. So that will, of course, entail some expenditure.
That's good. Yeah. So, that's the kind of recommendation that we are going to come up with. I think the numbers haven't come yet, but we feel that, we need to really do something for, that space. The youth, the children, is all absolutely essential for you to build the social contract in our society. So. But we are going to put that recommendation to you, and me were like asking me, you support him now? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honorable leader is really expressing this, and the case is really a compelling one for government. Yeah? It's in that many government too, yeah? I'm also to take some serious action. I'm also not only in government, everyone. I'm also. Yeah. Now,
I'd like to say something.
Can you say something?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and also thank you, Leader. I think that's area that definitely on this social issues, women and gender violence. I think that's we take note of that one. Just on the other comment, Leader, I think me fala law finance, garem the same view as what Itola mentioned in terms of putting resources to critical area for supporting growth. Hemna me fala preaching, and it's as me say, I'm disappointed a little bit from the baseline. I mean, guide no more. We can move resources within this book for financing now those important area. Those we have say overstage this one. You me out him law here, put him go law. Those that one we can done it. Quality law what him come and now him disappointed me hala. What the presentation? Yeah, most him what the game come. Like me say, one of the ministry, type cabinet approve finish, and just come back. So we will talk with our colleague as soon as to highlight some of those recommendations.
So I think on this one, on the baseline PS, most of those ministries that appeared before us, they were time museum or baseline or same, or not even like for thinking we make a mini bid now, or this, you've shot them down now, or best stop there now. But I think baseline, you should keep it within you no more. Yeah. The finance, the budget unit, you say baseline now also. Leave him out ambitious come. Then you look at what's a really realistically well-costed quality submission. They have the capacity to implement it. There's a good supply chain around it. It'll work. Okay, that one you fund it. You wait first time, or you are too ambitious, you don't have the capacity. You can make that. So guideline here, guideline for you. But you impose him, well, you tell them go logate, they felt it's an imposition by what no sabe venture beyond. So it just, they shot themselves in the foot by making that wrong assumption. So, but this one you tell them, come, member good one, eh? But I don't think many knew that, especially with productive one. Agriculture is got some really good ambitious plans. But you mean mogat manul maro or barawa? You mogat manul maro, so it's got some really good ambition, and it's good to support plans where Okatagaran.
What's your comment on that?
Just thank you for the question. I think the way the budget works, I think part of the budget loans, yes, the baseline is given just a guide. But if you cannot maneuver and whatever you do, but really important, and you cannot reduce them within the baseline, then you are part of the bid. So I think ministers, most of the ministers are doing that one. So saying that because of the baseline amount no bid na, I mean that could be some of the reason whatever the excuse for making some points low. PC, but there's open because immediately finish, and there is a space for additional money. But that I think I'm open also. If we cannot, and it's very mandatory, and we cannot, reduce it because if we stop him and not providing the funding for it, hospital by still got an issue and cannot save. Yeah. So there is a space in we will provide him, but I think it's up to the ministers whether to bid for it. And the other part of it is. Sometimes ministers like him, but after January, not despite what not be between for. So that comes back to the procurement plan and cannot seem better despite them at what not, but at least we are postponing that money and cannot seem so. I think the issue is more over law input side and also law preparation planning, but ministers. Thank you.
Yeah, it just seemed that. So I think there's some truth in what you're saying. So what we're saying to you is you. Next budget cycle, you not tell them about baseline, because ultimately it comes back to you, final allocation okay. So guideline lo you Then you tell them it becomes an excuse. When we were asking them in response to questions from committee, it became clear what they thought was the most productive use of resources under their sector. And then say, but did you make a bid for it or no more?
Baseline, no.
Baseline, yeah. So So I think there is some element of truth to that too, yeah? That you tell them, okay, there's a bit of space. If there's something where you will look him important, make him bid, but Ogata shoot him self down there now. So I think there's a bit of truth on both sides.
So the other part of like if it's open how do you manage him? The other question is potential because even the development budget, him say this. What you got him this year, then what a bit come, may move on to the revenue me collecting. So if we open him too much, billions of, shopping list na, I call him kind of some comes in. Hapo manage mo sa similar within this month, no more, sa approve. So that's why the baseline me known first time. So that
but you have a natural culling tool, and that is their capacity to implement. Because most ministries bid, may vote no guarantee people who implement him, for instance, or people with the requisite experience, or expertise, also, and just they can be as ambitious as they want to be, but they can't implement. They should only bid for what realistically can be done within that year. Make them sell and no held up. A good example is 30 million for Bina in the supplementary. What a waste that was. That 30 million could have been allocated to something else, could have been more productively used this year. Well, they're unable to use it now because, they just don't have the capacity to be able to do it in the year. So that is a natural culling effect. So, okay, you will make a minister happy, so, powerful money, you 30 million this year. Ma use him too, goody. So, it's just a natural. I think when you hold all those issues in balance, you will come down to you allow the most ambitious and capacitated to be able to implement to get what they want. That's what we need. And agriculture really demonstrated that. And mines, they have capacity there to be able to implement some things and do them well. And because we're depending on those two sectors, I'm just using those two as examples, we should be absolutely pumping money in there. It would be really good, high-quality investments.
Absolutely. I think you have all the time in the world to, consult them, negotiate. A little bit down him now, the high kind of expectation block there. If Public Accounts Committee can do this within 7 days of hearing, surely you have all the time in the world to be able to negotiate properly with them. Even if they come up with 200 bids that all put him up, you tell them, shh, 200, yeah, but you have to do him next year. Just shoot them down straight like that, no. So it's all about timing too, yeah. I think we need to invest a little bit of time for budget preparation. I think that's the most important message that have come out from here. The way we see it is that, even this process, we started it midnight no more before Mival started last week, Thursday, every bricks out, print him out, complete him at 3 o'clock early morning. So I think we have been pushed unnecessarily into a space where, we just didn't have the time, to do things. So, baseline, throw baseline out as a key issue. Use it as your internal, to look at, whatever that may come, and then you assess. Give yourself time, to assess what is reasonable, you think that Babayam can be given to them. Please.
The other issue that came up is the procurement process, the inefficiency of it, more than anything else, leading to frustration with it. And I think maybe as a response, the growth of accounts that ministries hold to be able to move a little bit more efficiently. So we're sort of, at the committee level, we're very cautious about this growth of accounts. On the one hand, we say, you need to get on with it. So you do need a special account, or maybe you should be given a special fund. But we can't have too many special funds and special accounts, because we've been there, we've done that, we've been down that road with some disastrous experiences before too. So if the procurement system was way more efficient without compromising on quality and compliance and so forth, by him really helping, by him removing this need for having so many accounts in different ministries. So in other words, there is need for much better ministry planning, perhaps even a year before. So internally, of course, appropriations process may kick in time you will complete a budget cycle internally, but ministry should be planning almost 2 years ahead. That way, once appropriations process may complete, contracting and all the rest of the procurements processes will kick in. How do we, Accountant General, how do we make the procurements process more efficient without sacrificing or compromising integrity?
AG, please.
Thank you, Honorable Leader. Yes, we do agree that there is quite a degree of inefficiencies at both ends. At our end, in the procurement unit, we really stretch to the bone in terms of capacity, given the volume of procurement workflow that comes through. Now, that does not absolve us from being part of the problem, and something that we'll continue to work on. And it's going to be a longer-term effort on our part to build or to relook at our structures and the capabilities required to mend that structure. This is something we're really taking a more intense effort on the procurement regime. For one, the designated responsibilities in the procurement regulations and manual would need to be further clarified. And also we are working with the support, and we're very much grateful to the Institute of Accountants of Solomon Islands, who are working with their counterparts from Malaysia, as well as some institutions in Australia, to help build up an accreditation scheme within the procurement designated authorities under the Act. That will oblige them to perform their duties as prescribed in the regulations and the manual, and also with the Central Tender Board and also the procurement, the Treasury Procurement Unit, which is the central function that filters all that comes through before they find their way up to the Central Tender Board for deliberations. Now, having said that, there are always deliberate efforts to stall and perhaps with the intention of casting blames between us and them and us. And we're always caught up in those skirmishes. Something we've tried hard to cut out. But it can be a futile exercise because in Treasury we are at the mercy of the processes and the mechanics at the ministry tender board level. When their submissions come through and queries go back to them, that's where the delays start. And then we can also be sitting on some of this feedback when they come. And I would say on our part, it's more the volume and the capacity we have that perhaps makes us slower or not as responsive as we could be. But as I said, it's...
So, but on the capacity, are you halfway there? Are you 3/4 of the way? What need do you have?
We really have to look at our structure again to see what is the required capabilities and the level of resourcing that's required to man that capability required. Given the volume of procurement work that has come through in the last few years.
And that's only going to increase.
It's only going to increase.
Yeah.
We haven't reached a steady state yet, given the nature of some of the big programs we've had in the last few years. But I think we're starting to see that now in terms of the volume of workflow coming through and how we can relook at our capacity in terms of structure and the capabilities required. It's quite urgent, but there's a lot of work to be done on many fronts. And again, as I said, in terms of, we have a capacity building strategy or framework that we've started to put together. And procurement is one area, is the area that we are starting ahead with, because the institutional framework is there already with the regulations and the manual, and we just have to work around those and build the capabilities both in TPU as well as the ministries. At the moment, we think the structures in the ministry tender boards look workable enough.
Is it workable, is it?
Yes, it's workable, I would say, but it's just, as I said, with this accreditation initiative coming in, that will help pin more responsibilities on our counterparts at the ministry level, along with some of the clear performance indicators in terms of timelines and what we would be expecting from them vis-a-vis the role of the ministry tender board chairman, the tender evaluation committees, and how do we expect them to be doing their work at that level, and what are some of the timelines we should be looking at from their end as well as ours. But again, it comes back to, so it's a long-term thing, but we're just trying, at the moment, we're just trying to play, it's just patchwork.
Yes, so it's going to be one of our recommendations, but you say long-term moe'i. It'd be better if it was shortened, brought forward. The other frustration is the D365 system. So again, you need to tell us why it is a frustration. Everybody is frustrated with it, including us. There's not been an audit, timely audit. So again, this is going to be one of our recommendations as to there needs to be a completely new unit in Treasury whose sole function is just reporting, can't be involved in any other matter. But again, why is D365? Microsoft is 1,000 times the size of our economy, maybe 10,000 times.
Thank you, Honourable Chairman. Through you, I think in our last session here last week, we kind of agreed that we will not delve on the reasons, and because we could spend a whole day or two. Some of the reasons why we have had these issues with D365 since its implementation. I would not want to delve on that, but look forward. Again, that's an area that we are mastering our efforts in terms of putting together a really coherent plan to address what we see as the shortfalls in terms.
The decision is to stick with D365.
Well, it's 5 years now. It'll take another 5 years to think about an alternative. If we are to do it properly, as we should perhaps have done, I guess it's a matter of running with the devil we know. It's working, it's functional, so that is our approach really, to improve or enhance the capabilities that are there. It's very much a system that was geared towards the corporate environment than government. So there has been a lot of modifications to the system since its implementation.
So it's a COVID
or deployment.
Yeah. Is it a COVID design? It was designed and introduced in the COVID?
For corporate world.
Yes. So we are pursuing a two-phased approach. The first one we've just completed this year, which was it was a functional review. Look at all the gaps and where the shortfalls were in terms of in all areas of the D365, and just focusing on the critical ones we needed to address. And those related to the payments workflow and some of the reporting requirements that we expected, which were essential for not even for the higher level fiscal and policy reporting. This is reporting for day-to-day and weekly operations, just to enable us to keep on top of the game and manage things well, and making sure that government is functioning out there in terms of what we are processing, what's coming in, and we are managing things within what is reasonably quality services as far as payments and revenue collections are concerned. Still a long way to go, but I would say there's been a lot of improvements in the last 4 years since the system came into place, and we still have a long way to go. But I think at this stage I can only assure us that we have a much clearer idea now on where we're going in terms of the phase 2 of the work I mentioned earlier. Yeah, and would allow us to be comfortable with this system at least for the next so many years. Whilst we look at things, we consider longer-term plans in terms of looking forward.
Here, the IMF report on data governance. That of course, I mean, here we've not had a look at an audit report for a long time when we're looking at these things. It's just the level of confidence in the data that we're looking at is, we're all speculating. Of course, I think on a day-to-day basis, the data that you see on a day-to-day basis is okay.
Yes.
Perhaps on a month-by-month basis is okay.
Month to month is okay.
Year to year?
Year to year, I think that's something that we've been talking to with Auditor General in terms of how we can draw the line and perhaps take a hit, so to speak, on closing that gap, as has been the base or the basis of the disclaimer opinion. Some of which are structural, and those are longer-term things. But I guess it comes down to the bottom line.
So if there was a line drawn, you're confident going forward it'll be clean?
This is something that we need to discuss with the Auditor General in terms of one of the issues we're talking about now is how far back do we go to establish what adjustments would be required. And I think of late, some of us think that the further back we go, the deeper the hole, because we're talking about decades here. Yeah. And we might not just be able to get out of the black hole. So we might as well draw the line somewhere. And even if the adjustment required is enormous or too huge, I guess a decision will have to be made. But what we're trying to do now is to narrow it down and close that gap and have enough of a reasonable explanation, verified, of course, so that we can agree as the starting point for discussions and whether the Auditor General can be satisfied with that, so that we just have to move forward. Other than that, I just don't see us cleaning up things once and for all and going into the future. We'll always be falling back into this big hole that we've all walked into, really, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is almost just like the budget itself, that we need to have a cut-off point and then stop whatever rubbish in the past year keep flowing into the next year. So I think the way forward is basically yourself and the Auditor General to come up with some kind of a concrete discussion and say, look, this is the cut-off point, let's move forward from here. But of course, that will have to come up with some very, very, open discussions and recommendations as to how we have to leave those, behind and then move forward, yeah. But please continue to talk to him. I think he's come up with some very good recommendation yesterday about the Center of Excellence. I think that's the way to go. If we cannot get that system right, build up on the capacity. And then that will prepare yourself, for that very candid discussion that both of you is gonna take to move forward. Let's come back to the budget first. Yeah. Did anyone raise about the issue of tax expenditure? Yeah. Okay. Me like me well for reflecting in charge long budget here. There has to be a schedule of itself. Yeah. We need to have it as a schedule of itself because these are lawful revenue to the state that has to be expended out here. So that would be our recommendation, that we should feature this in the budget, and then it will open up to all the financial reporting that is going to come forward, including, of course, some of the deep hole that the Accountant General is talking about right now. Some of it, I think, it relates to some of these things too. Yeah. You never know. Yeah. If we have to go deeper into them. For instance, or every contractors and so forth that has been given some kind of a double incentive now. You are given a contract, given an exemption more for enjoyment, and then what else more? Flexibility law, this because of the inefficiency of the procurement consideration law, ministerial. Yeah? Variation and continue to come up, giving the hard problem you guys at the Treasury, then limitation law, resources law there. You basically buy into some of whatever that is being given into you. So I think, we need to have some of those improvements. I've asked our secretariat to come to you about some of the discrepancies in the budget. So without taking up much of our time, maybe we should have our secretariat to talk to the budget, Ottoman local machinery budget, yeah. You try to look low, something, the bricks have a different figure, the bill has a different figure and all of that. So does that add up to some substantial differences? I'm not too sure. Just finally, no more law, one capitalization of what SOE. How many SOEs have we been capitalizing? are they going to come in some way or no? Not capitalizing any SOEs?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So in next year's budget, under law ministry recurrent budget allocations, there are one or two, apart from DBSI, yeah?
Yes.
One or two is one, of course, the support Los Solomon Airlines. I think that is one. The other one is, of course, the tower cable. Sorry, not tower cable, but the tower company. And the other one is on ICSI.
Okay.
So those are the plan and program for next year in the budget.
So going forward, I'm interested in DBSI. Do you think that is something that, we will continue to invest our program in capitalization of or the SOEs here? I'm how now this time here. This time here, what man will DBSI or run him after now, what man will take him face loan here. They are really knocking at their door. What man here, yes. Wake up early morning or come, but we are DBSI man na here. Yeah, you got this. So, you think we should continue to go down that path? DBSI or? You remember the old DBSI, you were there before, and then I told you guys, I think you must stop him no more. I'm no different with this one, yeah. Honestly, I think the people ought to know about this. Please. Do you think, please? Tell him come.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think the amendment of DBSI and the current strengthening in terms of the governance, management, and operations going forward now, I think we have seen some kind of improvement law practice and law management as we experienced in the past. Yeah. Since the DBSI have started, I think they are progressing on the right direction that Amy like for looking. I think the issue that they are facing now is in terms of the adequate capital to ensure that they are working on a break even and of course the profitable level going forward. But in terms of the portfolio and how good is the portfolio with the information that MIFL are receiving, I think they are performing okay. It is only on the capital side now, probably that will allow them to operate financially. I mean,
are you able to source capital outside, or is it predominantly just SIG number?
So for now, I mean, it's this next year's budget, MIFL, apart from the capital injection, we are also plan to secure financing outside and then only Nimgo Loketa. So that is also another option to build the. We are still thinking of the support, well, the resources available under the OPEC arrangement. Yeah? OPEC, yeah.
So they are based in Europe. OPEC.
I'm not sure.
Vienna.
I think this organization of petroleum group, yeah?
They are based in Vienna. They are very close to Brussels.
I think, yeah.
Yes. You remember the outstanding that we had with the European Investment Bank? Yeah. They will whisper to them and tell them the European Investment Bank is going to come up with a screwdriver. Me tell them it will straight now. So it will know how happy Lodizoni. I'm telling you the practical situation that we're going to find ourselves. Remember, we have a very strong covenant that we've signed with the European Investment Bank in the past year. No resurrecting na DBSI because it almost pull him out now the whole portfolio of Pacific lending to support investment in the Pacific. European Investment Bank. But if you can go and ask OPEC for quite any motor down, all the better. So I think you need to start to do some very good diplomatic training a little bit. If you go and tell them OPEC, quieting him down European Investment Bank, because it is still alive. Emotion. Big loan now, bloody BSI before Mival Beremia with European Investment Bank. Emotion. And what everyone here, if I'll do here, if I'll borrow here, if I'll everyone here, what I know. That's how everybody escaped from that liability. That we have to make a promise not to resurrect him again. But I'm right. If I'll go ahead, resurrect him. Just tell OPEC no more, just to be careful about that particular.
You how much is taken by?
No more, man. Electricity bill no more. Yeah. So that's a practical situation. I'm just putting you on notice, no more of that one, capitalization. I heard that you guys have issued a shares law, KAPL, which is another very important investment law, country you mean, KAPL. How much is that shares gifted or fully paid? And who paid for it?
I think the 20% have been gifted.
Oh, it's 20%, but you know, who paid for it? Is it a gifted share or is it a paid up one?
I think it's a gifted.
Gifted.
Yeah.
So where did you you show that it is gifted?
I'm inside the book blow XC.
X's book.
X's book, yeah.
So you further dig him hole inside lo X's mo, eh? Because that's what gifting is all about. Me surprised a little bit, you will go issue shares, yeah. But you know, other angle to it, there, I will respond to it sometimes. But I'm all right. So now you confirm that it is a gifted one. I'm okay. So quite surprising arrangement. Anyway, so any other issue more that you guys wanted to raise? Me like ask him no more to follow man law. This idea on the revenue, I think you ask him to follow with you. Yeah. Controller, no, me like ask him. Good. Controller, something no more. This fella, forget about all of them. I think you're doing perfectly well. Loside, Suffrage Wolf. Suffrage Wolf costing us on revenue and other issues too, social issues like importation of drugs and or something inside the country. Is that something that you have identified under your watch or no more? Let's put the controller on, please. Please, controller.
Thank you, Chair and members. For information, I think there was a special task committee that was formed last month, and we have already completed the consultation with the stakeholders and also relevant government agencies. The draft report has already completed, and the committee is yet to finalize the draft to be presented to the cabinet. That's on the consultation that the special task committee have done on this on the Suffrage port.
Suffrage Wolf.
Yes, Suffrage Wolf.
So this is kind of an investigation on your power, yeah? Isn't it? Because the only guy who can grant approval to Suffrage Wolf is the controller, isn't it? Is that your understanding of the law?
Correct.
So when the task force come in, by I think, are they reviewing your responsibility in approving trust on him Suffrage Wolf, or what are they doing? Just in short, no more. We don't want to get into Pueblo task force, yeah?
Thank you, Chair. I understand that the power is on the controller under the Customs and Excise Act. The special committee was endorsed by the cabinet, and That's the reason why the Special Task Committee is conducting the consultation.
So they're investigating the controller, why the controller is granting saffron swap. Is that what is happening, or?
I'm not to the point that they do that, Chair.
Okay. So that's not the purpose of the task force. Yeah?
Yes.
So let me ask you a straight question. I mean, you, in your performance of your duty as the controller, have you ever seen that we are losing revenue in the way that you have allowed saffron swap approval or selections of saffron swap? Have we lost revenue, or are we gaining revenue out of it?
Thank you, Chair. I don't think that there is a revenue loss on the use of the saffron spot. The saffron spot, it's not an automatic for traders to use. It's only on special circumstances, like for example the Pacific game that have just happened. It is by that important undertaking by the national government, and that's why that we have the controller have approved Goodwood to unload the Pacific game equipments and facilities. So, as I said, it's not automatic. It's on a case by case and on a special circumstances where the controller see fit.
Thank you for that explanation. I'm really interested in the revenue, protection of revenue. Yeah, that if you, like for instance, you don't exercise it, nothing to you. Like for instance, in this case law, you were referring to the SP game, national interest, therefore. And then you might have your own, what are the conditions that you imposed on them to make sure that no leakages and that sort of thing, yeah? So, but the question that I'm asking you, Numa, is that with the way that you are giving out saffron swap certification, yeah, are we losing revenue, or we are still maintaining our revenue, and revenue build-up is still okay?
Thank you, Chair. We are actually not losing revenue at the saffron spot.
Okay, you better make sure you okay in all of that one and the information is right, because a lot of people are, yeah, they sort of basically publicly prosecute this in a very different way. Yeah? So I think the best message that we can ask them is to leave it to the controller, a very competent authority, to look up the saffron swap. I think that's where we can put it on that. Thank you. Any other issue?
You mentioned drugs, but then no answer come.
Oh yes.
This is a big issue. Police commissioner come raise a member of big worry to Muslim. So it seems it's me will asking which port na Kamilam. Every saffron swap na hamza.
And he's working with him, yeah?
Oh yeah, you told him work.
Both of them are working together. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you pick that point?
No, me forget him.
Oh,
but I'm telling him saffron swaps. No, me worry more.
Okay. So your version long this will drugs coming in here.
Thank you, leader. Actually, I will. The risk of drug may not. I see here the risk covers whether it be a saffron spot or an approved port, or even at the airport. So I cannot conform here because there were none intervention at the saffron spot, as I understand. So I could not confirm that.
So you've not come across any drugs issues at all, any of our ports?
Not at the saffron spot, but
any other port?
Airport or other port?
I understand that there is an intervention at the airport.
But seaports declared.
No, I don't receive any report that any drug was intercepted at the seaport.
But it's coming in, and Commissioner of Police, according to him, coming in big quantities. And usually may increase. Usually you may increase. So obviously it's coming in. So it's either you're not doing your job, your officers are not doing their job, or you don't have the capacity. And also, so we were looking in the budget for some provision so that you have the capacity to be able to detect and detain and so forth. Plus, we encourage the Commissioner of Police and PS Blimford come back with amendments to the penal code and other legislation. So we tackle this with some urgency. But you are the front of that spear, so we don't see any movement on your provisions to enable you to build the capacity to do this job. Now that you tell him more, you know savvy about him anything more, and just confirm him now you would need the capacity.
Thank you, Leader. And definitely, yes. I think we don't have as well resources, especially like the police. They have boats they use alongside the coastal areas. But we depend on the police facilities as well in our joint operations. So, yeah.
And then talk about our docky.
Hey.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, to bring in the dogs.
Yeah, inside lot ship and also. So I mean, it's going to be some investment there. So perhaps you could. We are going to be reporting next week, but maybe you indicate to us, because this is going to be one of our recommendations, law capacity below you, as well as law police, specifically to deal with this problem. So you need to come back to the committee on what capacity now you need him here and what kind of resources now you need to go with him, so that will form part of our recommendation for amendment here, because it's a
real issue right now.
A real issue, yeah.
Thank you, Leader. Definitely, the effort will be on a joint task force that I think is needed here, like police, customs, immigration, and other border agencies that are all up at the front to be able to build the capacity and also the resources that is needed to be able to.
Yeah, but what we are saying is that, you got to come up with that recommendation. It's a real problem right now in our capital city. And I think it's now spill over into the all parts of the country. So let's take some very serious and assertive action too. So can you and PS work on a budget, to beef up the capability of our frontliners, the border frontiers here? And you are the one. Border enforcement is yours here.
Big problem of AG,
No, it is a huge problem. But here it's a huge, big problem this time. It's around. This one have no same kencha. Most Bakua Street. This one. Yeah. Now the whole city blown here emotion. So I'm really serious about this. Please, we are asking you to come up with that provision here. Any leftover space below there, PS, factor in for money. And then you tell the Minister of Finance when you read up, deliver second reading speech, say something about tackling it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a real social problem, law. Yeah, the country this time. No, it's not. Man, embarrassed. I mean, the fear that all of us have is that, somehow, it gets into right inside law at the family level. Man. So, and then whoever that you may find him, just deport them, not wanted back into the country. Yeah, this is one thing that is happening with our immigration process too. Yeah. There are some regions we are giving almost outright entry come inside without you me really check him, what a background blow the money, just because, those kind of a consideration. So please, let's take some tough action on this one. I think we have done very well with all of you peers. Just on that one, and my last one, and then if you can quickly come back with some response, or those issues. We are ready. So we can assure you, peers, we'll do our best, to put our report together. It will be ready by Tuesday or Wednesday next week. So that will give an extra space for us to come back to you and then see if there can be some changes made to the figures. But let's hope that, this budget process here will proceed well. We are part of you here, the Public Accounts Committee. So we are not someone, against you, because we are all part of this process of formulating the budget. Yeah, unlike also more other jurisdiction where, the Minister of Finance basically given a day or two no more to get the bill passed through Parliament, and then it's all left open for everyone to monitor how now it may get implemented. But in this process here, look at the time that is taken for all of us, to put out this exercise the best that we can. That's what we have done. M&M and today now until our report comes out. So to all of you, your team, thank you for providing all these bricks and the document. Please, PS, tell him come.
Yeah, before me, just like for summing up, message me received from our discussion, Chair, just on very quickly, normal tax exemption expenditure forecast. I think that's the improvement that ministry like for doing, especially to ensure that the exemption committee got some kind of guideline in terms of especially the modeling on the financing of tax exemption forecasted in lower period and how that could be quickly recovered. We know that number, and from what period they must recover through the profitability. Sure. So I think that that requirement here, we want to ensure that people within the exemption committee must have that capability. Sure. In terms of look financial forecast and projections, submitting come request for exemption so that we can know how that can be recovered quickly and also. So that is one. Okay, so just in terms of conclusion message, as you may discuss, Chair, we in terms of the fiscal framework forecast, I think we are certain in terms of our forecast based on the current actual and the trend of growth, lower the revenue, customs, IRD. We know the concern risk that put too much only in emphasis low mining, but I think based on the current, not on the extension, not additional activity we have to work on it at the moment, but based on the trend of growth here, I think we certainly could achieve. We are now forecasting low revenue, both in terms of duty and tax next year. OSM Commissioner Hemi highlighted, I think more than 500 to 600 million tax alone revenue from that particular operations. We will provide the funding gap plan. Just in terms of suggestion for additional schedule, because it's already there under Schedule 2, yeah, in terms of the borrowing plan. So
yeah, the full envelope, no more there, but the timetable.
The timetable, yeah. I think for him inside the schedule now probably might not really.
Maybe in the fiscal strategy we can amend it, and then some information like that can come in.
That can be provided. We thank you a lot for your wisdom on the betterment of budget, development of the budget. Just on the consideration and normal timing, and how Bamifala take those into account. Normal Chair, especially according to order paper we come Monday. I mean second reading now. Yeah?
Sure.
But when that adjustment can be made during the process of committee or SEM. Yeah. I think those are information that Bamifala guide them team Bamifala budget and of course our minister. just on the Surprise Wharf number, we will wait for the committee's report, but there are existing collaboration between Inland Revenue and Customs on the joint operations.
Sure.
And while waiting for the report, there would be conditions whereby may apply go in terms of activities inside Los Surprise Wharf, and how the joint operations by take place, not take place, but to carry out their duties whenever goods will be discharged Los Surprise Wharf. So, Commissioner and Controller, that joint operations here now, must be strong, yeah?
Sure.
So we don't need any resource for. We have an existing something, yeah?
Okay.
And our existing finances and budget and resource, but just a matter of beefing up and putting some extra conditions no more. One example now, there are supposed not to be any discharge during the night.
Sure.
Must slow during working hour, day no more.
Day.
No day, 8 to 4. After 4, no discharge. So those are several measures that the joint operations put in
That's
place.
good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Also, during after 4 years, I mean, the whole place taken over by the controller himself. No anyone to enter that place, except the controller himself, because for that period, it's that whole place with him designated as sub-branch and belongs to the controller. So his security and every enforcement team below him now should be there. Awesome.
Oh, thank you. That mining breakdown here too by providing come. Yeah.
And then me just like ask him no more, Commissioner no more, a little bit small part no more. Governor has cautioned us to a little bit limit him now issuance of license. And if that him become somehow carried forward by mining, how by him no affect him? It's a gold dealer's license here, but governor was a little bit critical about it too. So
Thank you.
There might be a reduction or a complete termination of several other gold dealers' license too.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think that could be one mitigation to mitigate the non-compliance at the moment. Yeah? So you go around town this time, people buying golds or same. Yeah? So I think managing the issuance of license could help mitigate some sort of non-compliance.
But it will affect your estimation for next year.
It will affect in terms of the revenue loss, because once you go up, once you have a number of gold buyers, you actually don't know in terms of how they send the gold, and that comes back to customs. So what we have seen is in terms of the like those mining companies, we can see in the exports. But in terms of the like individual people, there are very few that you can see that send gold. And that's a compliance issue that we currently experience. Thank you.
So I think going forward into the future, before we can do that, PS, you reactivate him back now and refresh him back our submission to become EITI compliant country. And that matter, vested law, then we jump out of it. I think you should go back with them now. Otherwise, we will fast be going down, what has been theorized in a lot of these literatures about, the Dutch disease, resource case, the rich but found themselves the bottom of billionaire, MOSM, yeah? So pick up that EITI and then find some safeguard for me, please.
Yes. Yeah, there's a little bit updated newspaper today. But we forget to update him during our last meeting is in terms of government commitment to re-engage into EAT. He already progressed communication request go international secretary and local formation of the MSG group already formed. So on that update lo paper, we have signed a financing technical support from the government of United Kingdom. We provide some support to the actual reporting work by Hemstad. So
Thank you.
I think that's the update on EAT.
Very good. Very good. I think we have ended up very good note here. Let's trust each other, share information, make sure that all those reports are made available, and then we'll listen on Monday for the second reading. Yeah. But if you're party, no more you put him in charge. That you're going to put a little bit money no more for controller, do his part. Stop him now drugs here. No good too much this time, please, man. So that's an excellent closing. I want all of us to stand and then close out. The formal proceedings belong Public Accounts Committee will now be dissolved. Please all stand. And I have the most capable clergy next to me, honorable leader of opposition, Mivalo, and Lang Lang. Thank you, honorable leader. Please, can you close us with a word of prayer, please?
Father, we thank you for opportunity